Some tough news hit the Las Vegas Raiders today. Christian Elliss won't be suiting up for them after all. The New England Patriots stepped in, matched the offer, and locked him down with a 2-year deal. So now let's explore what is next for the Raiders and how they should respond to this setback. Plus, the Raiders have a new signing at defensive tackle. I will also evaluate whether it is a good move or just a decision taken in an emergency. What's up, buddies? Welcome back. If you are new here, make sure you hit the subscribe button. We cover all AFC West news here on this channel. Let me start with the new signing. The Las Vegas Raiders have signed defensive tackle Leki Fotu, a move reported by Tom Pelissero of the NFL Network. No contract details yet, but expect a 1-year veteran minimum deal, probably not topping $2 million. This signing bolstered depth on the interior defensive line, positioned as a budget-friendly stand-in for someone like John Jenkins, a veteran with a similar frame who's been outplaying Fotu lately. So the question is, what is the meant for the defensive line? Christian Wilkins and Adam Butler are the trusted anchors. The younger guy, Matthew Butler, hasn't proven much, though Jonah Lalu has a flicker of upside. Tyree Wilson? He's likely headed for the edge, rotating with Malcolm Kunze, not clogging the middle. Fotu's a beast at 6 feet 5 inches, 335 pounds. A classic space eater like Jenkins, who's 35. Fotu's younger, 27 or 28, but hasn't matched Jenkins' 35 recent impact. Now, I will give this move a D grade. Fotu's been underwhelming the past few years. Check his PFF grades. They're rough. He's depth, not a difference maker. Bigger picture. It hints at the Raiders' draft plans for 2025. With 9 picks, they might skip a defensive tackle. They only met one at the Combine. Mason Graham, a top 10 prospect, suggesting they're set with Fotu and the current crew, focusing elsewhere. Though Rob Leonard, the defensive line coach, and Patrick Graham, the coordinator, have a knack for unlocking potential. Look at Adam Butler's career year at 30. Or Calavan Chaison's growth. Fotu's got ties too. He played for the Cardinals from 2020 to 2022 when a current Raiders coach was there, and he went up against Chip Kelly's UCLA squads at Utah in 2018 and 2019. Maybe that left a mark. Plus, he's an Oakland kid, which bumps the vibe a bit. This fits the Raiders' offseason vibe under Pete Carroll and John Spytek. Dominate the trenches, prop up stars like Maxx Crosby, Wilkins, and Kunze. Fotu's job? Soak up double teams, let the big dogs eat. It's a theme. Signings like Alex Kappa and Jeremy Chin scream trench focus, often with a coaching connection like Kelly or Graham. So technically, it's a low-stakes swing. If Fotu's stuck playing big snaps, it could sting. The guy's not a star. But if Leonard and Graham work their magic, maybe he will surprise. So jumping back into this Christian Elliss news, Mike Rice from ESPN reported that the Patriots are matching the Raiders' offer sheet for the restricted free agent linebacker. It's a 2-year deal, tying Elliss to New England through 2026. This hits the Raiders hard. They saw him fitting right in next to Eland and Roberts, and I'd bet they were counting on him starting at linebacker alongside Roberts this season. That's a rough blow for the silver and black. Now, here's my take on this. I still think there's a shot the Raiders might try to trade for Christian Elliss. If you dig into history, there's a pattern here. Take a look at the most recent example I can point to, Jordan Mason. It's not a perfect match, since Mason had a second-round tender on him, but hear me out. The second-round tender was placed on Mason, and just a few days later, the Minnesota Vikings swooped in and got a trade done to snag that running back. I'm bringing this up because it shows how these deals can play out, and it's why I'm saying the Raiders could still make a move for Elliss. I'm not standing here promising it'll happen, but it's worth thinking about. When the Patriots say, okay, $3.3 million, who's in? And the Raiders come back with a 1-year, $4.8 million offer, that's a 150% bump. That tells you how much the Raiders valued him. Then New England fires back and matches it, which just proves Elliss has real worth in this league. So I'm laying it out for you. There's a chance here. If I had to piece together what it might cost the Raiders to pull off a trade like that, looking at something like the Mason deal gives us a clue. So here's the deal. When you think about trading for Christian Elliss, you've got to factor in that 2-year contract the Patriots locked him into. That's part of the equation. Now, if the Raiders' current plan is to just roll into the season with the linebackers they've got, plus Eland and Roberts, I've got some real concern. I'd tell you straight up, that's not sitting right with me. The linebacker room needs a boost, no question about it. Sure, the draft's an option. 2025 could bring some talent to shore things up. But let's be real, the Raiders have bigger fish to fry in that draft than just linebacker. There are other spots screaming for attention, and you can't ignore that. But if they're sitting there saying, nah, we're not giving up draft picks, he's staying a Patriot, fine, that's their call. Here's my point, though. If that's the route they take, they better hit the free agent market hard and bring someone in. That pool's drying up fast, and they can't just sit on their hands. Now, let me tell you who I think the Raiders should be targeting as the top free agent linebacker to fix this. We'll get into that next, because if they're passing on Elliss, they need a solid plan B, and it better be good. Now, if the Raiders aren't planning to bring Christian Elliss back, they've got to get serious about options like EJ Speed, or at least the next guy I'm about to mention. The free agent market for inside linebackers is looking slim, and that's what matters here. This Raiders defense runs with 3 safeties and 2 linebackers. They need someone who can cover, not just plug gaps. EJ Speed's a name that stands out. He's stronger against the run than in coverage, no question, but you can't just lean on the roster as it is and call it a day. Speed's my top pick in this spot. Then there's Kyzir White, another solid choice. He racked up 137 tackles last season with Arizona, showing he can move sideline to sideline. I liked what I saw from him back with the Chargers too, better in coverage overall. If you're looking at other paths, I'd throw Surratt into the mix. I wouldn't call him a bargain bin Christian Elliss, but there's a similarity. Both are guys you bet on to grow. Surratt got thrown into action with the Jets last year and held his own with limited snaps. Could be a project worth considering. Maybe there's even a tie-in with Amari Gainer from their time overlapping, though I'm not sure it lines up perfectly. Surratt's a step down, no doubt. Then you've got Isaiah Simmons. I'm not sold he's ready to start in the NFL right now. He's an athlete, sure, but if the Raiders were willing to take a chance on developing Elliss, who is still a work in progress, why not Simmons? Same deal. Takes time and effort to get him there. So if Elliss is off the table unless they trade, those 4 Speed, White, Surratt, Simmons are the ones I'd look at signing. The Raiders are sitting around $50 million in cap space, give or take. Over the cap says $32 million, but that's missing the Christian Wilkins deal, so $50 million feels closer. My pick? EJ Speed. Price matters, though. If Speed's going for $7 to $9 million a year, I'd say just trade for Elliss instead. If they won't part with draft picks, Speed at a deal closer to what they offered Elliss makes sense. I've seen chatter about $8 to $10 million for him. Too rich for my taste, and I'd bet this front office feels the same after their moves this offseason. Now, let's shift gears. Some guys on this roster have to step up, because the linebacker depth is thin, real thin. Picture the depth chart. Elandon Roberts is solid, but he needs a coverage guy next to him. Amari Burney, not that player. Amari Gainer, the UDFA from last year, maybe closer but still unproven. Then you've got Smith, unknown. Eichenberg, a 5th rounder. Kanai Mauga, a UDFA hanging around. This might be the weakest, or at least the most untested linebacker group in the league. So who could fill that Christian Elliss role? A lot of folks point to Amari Burney, but I'm leaning toward Amari Gainer. His game's more like Elliss. Sideline to sideline, better in coverage. Burney's an athlete, no doubt, but he's a downhill run stopper. More of an edge guy. Gainer fits the coverage need. Plus, I've got to give Gainer props. He's been tight with Maxx Crosby this offseason, learning from him. Someone close to the team told me he's copying everything Crosby does, and that's the kind of mentality you want. Next up, let's talk Tommy Eichenberg. He doesn't have Burney's athletic pop or even Gainer's speed, but he's got the smarts. If you're replacing a brainy player like Robert Spillane, the green dot type, Roberts already does that, and Eichenberg could follow. His tape shows he's coachable, always improving. Same reason the Raiders liked Elliss. I'd argue most coaches on that staff see Eichenberg as the guy with the most potential to develop into a real linebacker, even if this regime didn't draft. So, tough news today. Elliss is back with the Patriots. That's how it goes sometimes. Still burns me that Josh McDaniels pulled that off, though. Now it's on the Raiders. What's the move? Trade for Elliss? Maybe. If they do, we'll keep you posted. If not, will they grab Speed, Surratt, or someone else? Hit the comments with your take. I'll be checking.